Next week on Home and Away in the UK, as Mackenzie and Levi head to tropical Queensland to visit Dean and Ziggy, their trip takes a dark turn. In Monday's episode, exactly 2 years to the day since we last saw Dean and Ziggy on UK screens, Mac and Levi are getting ready to head off. Before they go, Levi mentions to Abigail and Molly that this trip isn't just a holiday, he's finally planning to meet Dean. As Molly asks what Dean thinks about that, Levi admits he's aiming for the element of surprise. Molly raises an eyebrow. "Wow, you are brave." After Levi heads out, Mac exchanges a longing look with Molly. Levi's confident he can win Dean over, but they both know Dean, and that's a tall order. A short while later, Mac and Levi arrive by helicopter at a luxury QLD resort, before driving up to Dean and Ziggy's beachside home. True to form, mechanic Ziggy is working on a ute as Mac and Levi pull up, and is ecstatic to see the surprise visitors, as well as finally being able to put a face to the name for Levi. Ziggy yells to Dean, who emerges onto the balcony, rushing down the steps once he spots the arrivals. But whilst Dean gives his sis a great big hug, he's noticeably frosty towards Levi. "Good to finally meet you." Levi enthuses as he extends his hand. "Is it?" Dean replies, awkwardly leaving Levi hanging. Mac sighs, "This is going to be fun." As Ziggy leads them up to the house, Mac is in for a surprise of her own. Already blown away by the ocean view, she's stunned to find that there's another visitor to the household, sitting on the balcony playing with Izzy, Aluna Harlow Duffy, Dean's mom, Karen. As Karen spots the toy koala Levi's brought for Izzy, Dean grumbles that she's got enough toys already. But Karen's already putting 2 and 2 together. "Oh, you're the married guy Mac's having a fling with." Mac quickly clarifies that he's divorced now, as Levi adds it was never just a fling, which is why he's here, meeting the family Mac talks about constantly. Though Levi has to admit that he doesn't actually know who Karen is. Dean, clearly on edge, fires back. Is Levi throwing shade at his mum? Ziggy quickly deflects as she suggests Dean go and fire up the barbecue. Ziggy quietly tells Mac that a heads up about the visit would have helped. She could have laid some groundwork with Dean. Levi, trying to stay cool, offers to answer any questions and Dean doesn't miss a beat. "Why'd you sleep with my sister while you were still married?" Levi admits he's not proud of how things started, but insists they fell in love. "How long did you lie to your missus for?" Karen suddenly chimes in, not one to let a moment of drama pass, much to Ziggy's annoyance. Mac fires back, reminding Karen that their dad Rick was married too at the time of Dean's conception, though Karen points out she didn't know that until she was heartbroken and pregnant. Frustrated, Mac storms off with Levi in hot pursuit. Mac suggests they just cut their losses and leave, but Levi, stubbornly hopeful, wants to try again. Meanwhile, Ziggy tells Dean that it was actually pretty gutsy for Levi to show up at all, and pleads with him to give Levi a chance. But Dean's not convinced. Once a cheater, always a cheater. As Mac and Levi return to the gathering, Levi tries making conversation, asking how Dean and Ziggy got together. Dean, clearly still salty, points out it happened after her marriage fell apart. Seeing the writing on the wall, Levi gives up. They can go if Dean's not willing to give them a shot. Dean's indifferent as he points out that Mac can stay, but Mac's also had enough, as she bluntly tells Dean that they're a package deal these days. Back at the car, Mac tries to stay upbeat, suggesting they salvage the rest of the holiday, but her face says it all. She's crushed. Ziggy is furious with Dean. She's had enough of his attitude, especially when it's cost her the chance to tell Mac their big news. She's 12 weeks pregnant. Ziggy wants both Izzy and their new baby to grow up knowing their aunt, but that's not going to happen if Dean keeps shutting Mac and Levi out. Even Karen sides with Ziggy, and regrets her earlier behavior when she realizes Mac and Levi have already been together for over a year. If Levi was willing to walk away from his marriage for Mac, maybe he is serious about her happiness. Karen warns Dean not to make Mac shoes, as she quite likes the idea of her son having a sister in his life. Dean reluctantly agrees for Ziggy to extend an olive branch, inviting Mac and Levi back to the house where they announce that they'd like to take them on a road trip to see some more of Queensland. The pair happily accept, whilst Karen will remain at the house to take care of Izzy. Later in the week, Dean remains on edge during the getaway. The group rent a boat for some sun-soaked relaxation, but while the others dive into snorkeling, Dean sticks to the beers. Tensions flare when Dean then accuses Levi of checking out Ziggy and her swimwear, leading to a standoff that ends with everything back to square one and Dean storming off to steer them back to shore. When Dean walks out on dinner that evening, Ziggy apologizes to Mac and Levi before going after Dean and laying into him. She tells Dean that she actually really likes Levi, and his repeated rude comments are ruining their trip. Dean fires back, "Once a snake, always a snake." Levi is defeated, telling Mac that they'll head home first thing in the morning. The next day, Mackenzie makes a last-ditch attempt to get Dean on side, warning him that she intends on spending the rest of her life with Levi. If he can't deal with that, then she can't have Dean in her life. Dean summons Levi to walk with him, where he reluctantly tries to smooth things over, but Levi has already had enough by this point, accusing him of putting on a front for the sake of Mac. With relations seemingly at a dead end, what the pair could really do with is a soap trope to force them to work together as a team. Back at the car, Mac and Ziggy are approached by a suspicious character in prison greens, who asks if this is their car. They immediately spot the shiv in the escaped prisoner's hand, but before they can react, their escape is cut off by a second prisoner. The two order Mac and Ziggy into the car at knife point, instructing Ziggy to drive. As Dean and Levi return to the car park, they're horrified to find the Ute speeding away with Mac screaming for help out of the window. Will Dean and Levi be able to work together to save them?